Hello, my name is Carrie. My name is Carrie, and this is the Creative Obsession YouTube channel. I am joined today by my friend Mabel. I got a call early this morning from my friend Jenny that her daughter-in-law went into labor and Jenny's having her first grandchild. So I was on standby as dog watcher, and so I got the call early this morning saying that it's good to go, and so I went and picked her up. Took her to the groomer, and we just picked her up from the groomer. So she likes to be held, except she's kind of a big lug. So, Mabel, you got to get down. Okay? You're going to have to find a spot. So, there you go. So she's going to be staying with me probably through today, maybe into tomorrow. It depends on how everything goes with baby making, and we'll see. So she's probably going to be kind of running around. Anyway, thank you for joining me. If you stumbled across my channel and this is your first time here, this is my channel where I talk about all the crafty and creative endeavors that I get into, mostly with knitting and quilting. I have to say that this episode is going to be geared more towards yarn and knitting. I haven't done any sewing or any quilting because it's just been too stinking hot. I live near Portland, Oregon, and we've been having heat wave after heat wave. Yesterday was near 100. Today I think it's supposed to be a little bit cooler and only be like 90. Gonna cool off over the weekend and then go right back up into the mid 90s next week. And anybody here in Oregon is just like, we're done. We're really done. It feels like it's kind of hazy out because of all the wildfire smoke. There's a lot of wildfires on the up and down the West Coast. The whole West Coast is on fire, so the air quality is pretty sucky. I've been staying inside most of the time, mostly because of the heat. I try and get out early in the morning to go for a walk, which I didn't get to do because I had to deal with little Miss Mabel. But try and get out early in the morning where the heat's not so bad and the smoke isn't so bad. So I tried to record this earlier, and just as soon as I got started, I got the call from the groomer to say, come pick up Mabel. So I'm starting over. And so now it's getting a little bit later in the day, and so it's getting warmer. I have the fan on, and hopefully I can get through this before it gets too hot up here. Today is August 10th, 2018, in case you're wondering. You can find me on Instagram and Etsy as The Creative Obsession. Links to that and to anything I talk about will be in the description box below. So if I talk about a pattern or a website or a yarn or whatever, I try and remember to put all the links down below so that you can also find them. So I'm going to get started. I have been cleaning closets and really tackled my closet. I had tubs of stuff in there that I saved because I thought someday I might get back into that size, and I just had to be like, you know what, if you do get back into that size, you're going to want to buy new stuff. So got rid of a bunch of stuff, but while cleaning, I found my first knitting project that I made. I had picked up one of those things where you get like the leaflet, the knitting needles. It may have even come with the yarn. I can't remember if the yarn came with the book or if it's something that I bought later. And it was instructions, pictures, all that stuff on how to knit. So I remember it was size 11 needles, and I believe this is probably a worsted weight yarn. So it's not too bad considering I hadn't ever knitted before. But here is my scarf. It's kind of a sampler type of scarf. So you learned to just do the knit stitch. So you made some garter. Then you moved into stockinette, which means you had to purl. And then you made some ribbing. And then you just reversed order. Now, you know, this was my first time. It's an ugly scarf just because, like, who would want to wear that? Because like the ribbing pulls it in and the garter stays big and all that stuff. But you know, there's no holes and my knit stitches look pretty good. And I know I did not block this because I wouldn't have known anything about that. And I'm positive this is acrylic yarn. Now it is pretty soft, but you know, that was where I started. And so I got really into knitting back then. I was probably in my 30s, so a little while ago. And then I got into quilting, and that completely took over my life. Things have kind of flip-flopped now, and I do more knitting than I do quilting, but I thought that was kind of fun to see where I started. So speaking of starting, a while back, and I haven't talked about it in a long time, I bought a drop spindle. So this is my drop spindle. I love it because it's made with Purple Heart wood. I bought it at whatever the fiber festival thing is that I went to maybe 2 years ago. Has it been that long? Down in Eugene. And I bought some fleece. So you can't really see, but I bought some fleece and I tried to spin using YouTube videos and stuff like that, and I was just not getting anywhere. So I mentioned this to a gal that comes to Knit Night who is a very good spinner. And I told her I have a drop spindle. I can't figure it out. So she says, okay, bring your stuff next time you come. So she helped me, and she brought some fleece. So this is some fleece she brought that is Polworth. And what I learned, and part of the problem I was having, is I don't know exactly what that yarn or that fleece is that I bought at the Fiber Festival, but the staple or the length of fibers is maybe only like this big, or this is the length of the fiber. So it comes from a sheep that grows a longer fleece. And this was way easier to work with because you drafted so far, it wasn't breaking off, and I was able to spin more rather than only spinning like a couple of inches. She also brought me some rollags. So a rollag is fleece, and it's just the way that it's carded and then it's rolled up so that you just draft from the end. This was okay. It felt more delicate, and I think it could be something to do with the type of fiber and stuff it was, but it was fun to try it out. So I made yarn. So this is where I started. I'm going to keep it because just like the scarf, you can kind of see where you started, and hopefully someday I'll be way better. But I did make yarn, and I plied it. You know, it's rustic. It's not anything I'm going to make anything with, because she just was like, okay, now try the rollag. And so, you know, I would just add that to what I was doing, paying no attention to colors or anything like that. It was more just about the technique. It made way more sense the way she described it to me, so that was helpful. The other day I did pick up that fleece that I bought, this stuff, and I tried spinning, and I was having the same problem again, and I thought, okay, I should have started like right after I did this so that it would be super fresh. But I think I may look into some fleece and look into like getting some Polworth or something, and saving that other stuff for when I get some more experience, just because I did find it to be easier to do. And it was very relaxing to sit there, and that's what I did the whole time at Knit Night. I didn't knit anything. I made a cat toy. So it was fun. It was fun to learn something new. I do want to practice some more, like I said. So stay tuned for that. But that is my little spindle spinning trial that I did, which was kind of fun. I did cast on a bunch of new stuff because I was really kind of feeling down in the dumps. You know, when I hurt my back, it's been a little while now. It was a slow process of getting better, and it just started to affect me mentally because I'm not used to just sitting around, and I was starting to feel really sorry for myself. So I cast on some new things. So one of the things I cast on, this is something that I saw at Vogue Knitting Live when we went to Seattle last winter. And it's a pattern called the Polka Dot Scarf from Church Mouse Yarns, and it's made with lace weight yarn. And it was really pretty. It struck me, and I thought, okay, someday I'm going to do it. And so since I was feeling sorry for myself, I decided to cast it on. Now I have some lace weight yarn from a long time ago, and it's a Knit Picks yarn. It's an alpaca. And I started it. So basically you're just making eyelets, and you're making a pretty wide scarf. But then because it's lace weight, when you wrap it around, it's very delicate and it won't be too hot. You do a provisional cast on, and I'm not sure why yet. I haven't gotten that far in the pattern. I have a long way to go. But like I said, this is yarn from Knit Picks. It's old. I don't even know if they still have it. Alpaca Cloud. And the colorway is Stream, which is sort of just a bluish color. It's very, very soft because it's alpaca. So it's a nice project. I'm knitting them on size 4s, I think 5s, with lace weight yarn. So it's very holy. It's very meshy like. So that's just, I mean, it's not exciting, but that's a new cast on that I will just slowly be working on. I may take that with me when I go to Alaska. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to take with me when I go to Alaska, because, you know, I've got the flight. I can't knit. I'm not sure that I can do socks so much because that's kind of like her. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I can't take too much stuff because I'm on a plane. I can't like stock up my car kind of a thing. But we're renting a car so that we're driving all around. So I'll be in the car a lot. So I could do some knitting, but I also know that I like to see what I'm doing and see where I am and take that all in. But like in the evening, I don't know. That might be a project I take because it's kind of small. I'm still kind of going back and forth on it. So anyway, that's that. Another project I started is a cowl. And I've had this yarn. Let's see, where is it? It's a primrose yarn. It's a primrose yarn. It's a yarn that I got, I won from a giveaway that David, who's super generous, of the Dog Dare. He's Dog Dare. He doesn't really podcast anymore. David, we want you to podcast. Anyway, he went to Rhinebeck, and the other people that he kind of met there, they all had this like scavenger hunt giveaway thing, and so I won. And so Lorelei, who has a podcast, I'll put the name of it down here. I won her giveaway. And so she gave me this yarn, primrose yarn called Grumpy Jello. It is an MCN yarn, so super soft. And I thought, okay, I need to find a pattern that shows the variegation of this yarn, which you'd probably like to see. It's caked up, so it's kind of hard for you to see. But kind of a minty base with just these beautiful jewel tones. So I got online and I found a cowl called the Honey Cowl by Anne Maria. So let me show you. Can I do this? Oops. There. That's it on my phone. I didn't print it off because it's just a super easy pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Like I said, I'll link it. But because you have these slipped stitches, which gives you a little bit longer of a stitch, with variegated yarns like this, it kind of helps show them off a little bit. So I just cast on 150 stitches, I believe. I'm doing it on size 6 fingering weight yarn. And it's just going to be just a single wrap kind of cowl. I'm going to go until it's however deep I want it to be. Super, super simple. Don't have to pay attention kind of a pattern. You knit around. The next round you purl one, slip one purlwise all the way around. So you just purl, slip, purl, slip, purl, slip. Knit another round. Then you slip purl so that you're staggering your slips, which if you get off, it doesn't really matter. And then you knit, and you just alternate those 4 rows. Like I said, super simple. So I think it's turning out really pretty, and it's really soft, and it'll be good. So that's another project, and I'm housing it in this new bag I got from my dear friend Leslie. Leslie is the one half of the Naughty Knitwits. She gave me this bag. It's a peekaboo bag. It's this, can you see the gold kind of shimmer in the fabric? Very cool. And it's purple. It's a peekaboo bag. It's by Ink Bags. There was a trunk show type of thing, pop-up trunk show type thing at Starlight Knitting, and they went there, and Leslie purchased that, or Leslie went. purchased that for me. So it's a nice drawstring bag, and it's kind of cool because you can see your project in it, which is kind of neat. I may need to make some bags again. I don't know. We'll see. So that's been a nice project to do. Then, oops, let me put that back in the bag. So Leslie and Michelle and Lori all came over and we just hung out and knit. And so Leslie and Michelle were talking about wanting to make the Shushui shrug by Suzanne Summers. And so we were talking yarn and talking colors and all that kind of stuff. And I got all excited and I wanted to make it. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this. I like making brioche. The shrug is kind of a sweater, more, I don't know. It's kind of a shawl with sleeves, I guess. So there it is there. So I picked out my yarns and I'm going to do Mademoiselle, which is a really deep, like plummy purple. And then this was a colorway that I did, that I thought I would duplicate, but I'm not sure if I will. So I have a couple skeins of it. It wasn't ever in the shop, but I thought it had a really good contrast. There's hints of pink and sage and that kind of color in it. This is the hardest thing I think I've ever tried to make. So Suzanne Summers has got a great video online that helps you get started. It gets you through like how to cast on, because you cast on with like an I-cord and then you're doing these different things and then you're increasing and you're putting a zillion markers. I have cast this thing on, no joke, probably 50 times. That's as far as I've gotten. I can't seem to get much further than this because I consistently end up short a stitch, and I'm watching the video and I'm following along, and then she stops at this one spot and they're like, okay, that's what you need to know. No, just keep going. And somewhere in the next couple of rows after that, something's not going right. I'm at the point now where I'm just thinking this is just not the thing for me. It's just not, it's just, I'm so done trying to cast it on. So, I mean, I do have some good contrast. You can kind of see a little bit of brioche starting there. I'm ending up short a stitch. So there's something missing in the way I'm yarn overing, or I don't know. And right now it's super fiddly because it's tiny and you're having to do all these things. I'm using, these are Knitter's Pride Platina needles, which are pretty slick, and I may need to go to wooden needles so that they're not as slippery. I was just kind of hoping that once I got going and I had kind of more to hold on to, that I wouldn't feel like it was so slick that I could just go along, you know. I got to get past this or it's not happening. So I'm going to meet with Michelle tomorrow. I'm going to go over to her house. She thinks she's got it figured out. She's gotten hers started. And so I'm hoping that if somebody that knows how to do it and is walking me through it, I can see where it is that I'm making the mistake, because I'm making the mistake the same way each time, even though I'm being careful and I think I'm changing things up. Somehow it's just not working. It's not working. It's driving me crazy because I spent days, like 2 whole days, over and over and over and over and over again, and I got that far. And finally I was like, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore. And then Michelle's like, let me help you. Okay, let me try it again. So I cast it on again and I'm still only that far. And so now I'm at the point where I'm thinking, if it's that difficult, and it's a pretty big project, I'm probably never going to finish it because I will just get so frustrated with it that I don't know that I'll finish it. So I'm afraid in a way to kind of start it because I think, will I even wear that? I think I'd wear it. I don't know. I know that if Leslie and Michelle get theirs done, I'm going to be like, dang it, I should have done it. So I'm going to try. I'm going to go over to Michelle's house tomorrow and I'm going to see if she can help me make sense of whatever it is that I'm doing wrong, because knitting should be fun. And right now that is not a fun project. So I did start a project that is fun. Another one. See, I hadn't cast anything new on for a really long time, and I've got whips. I've got to finish my color work mitt. I haven't even finished the one mitt yet. There's all these things that I need to finish, but from my mental health, I needed to cast something on. So I had talked about wanting to make the Cranberry Goss, which is a DK weight, short sleeve, very loose fitting pullover. So I thought, well, what I think I'm going to do, because you start bottom up, which is just ribbing and stockinette. I thought I'm going to start it on my knitting machine. And I'm just going to knit until you have to start doing something. And then I'll put it on needles and I'll knit it. So back when I started another sweater that's not done yet. Remember the one with the sleeves too tight? Yeah, that's still in timeout. I'm thinking I might rip out the whole thing. Anyway, before I make rash decisions, I'm letting it sit. Anyway, when I swatched for that, somebody made the brilliant comment to put that on my project page on Ravelry with my numbers. With the size 6, you got this many stitches. With the size 7, you got this many stitches. So then I didn't have to swatch again. I'm using the same DK weight. It's my plump DK out of my shop. And so I've done swatches on my machine. Same thing. Tried it at different settings. Got my numbers. So it was really easy to go, okay, this is the swatch that I need for my machine, and it matches the swatch that I did by hand. So I'm doing it on size 7s, I believe. Yes, on size 7s. It's not very exciting right now because I'm still doing the stockinette stuff. But I'll tell you what, I got, you know, like this much done in like a couple of hours. So then you have to start doing some increases because it kind of goes to a sleeve sort of. So it's not very exciting. This is my denim colorway from my shop in my plump DK, which I love because it's just super soft and squishy. And I think I have about 3 more inches, and then you start doing a little bit of patterning detail with some purl stitches, and so it's just got a little bit of texture up at the top. There's a couple different ways you can do the neckline. They show it, the pattern shows it with kind of, I don't know if you can see, kind of like a turtleneck. I don't really think I'd wear a turtleneck, but what I do like, and I don't know how to describe it. Lori, you know what I'm talking about because you did it on one of your sweaters, and it's sort of a funnel neck, I think, where it just sort of kind of hangs, kind of a cowl style. That would be better because that would be a little bit more open. So anyway, it calls for you to have like 10 to 12 inches of positive ease, which so that it can be just kind of big and slouchy. When you're already sort of big and slouchy, you don't need big and slouchy on top of that. So I'm making it so that it's not, it'll be loose fitting, but not baggy fitting, if that makes sense. Digging this colorway. Looks like a pair of jeans, which is why I called it denim. So then I had it in my head, gosh, I wonder if I could get this done before I go to Alaska. Because Alaska's been like in the 60s and like rainy days and stuff. You watch. We'll go there and they'll be like, this is such unusual weather. It's never 90 degrees in Alaska, but it is while you're here. So I was thinking I might bring that because the other sweater that I was doing on my knitting machine, I'm having a little bit of a problem with. So as I have mentioned before, I made all the pieces. So the back, and I have the 2 fronts. It's a cardigan with the sleeves, yada, yada, yada. So I hung it on my machine, and you hang the back where your shoulder seams go, and then you hang the front, and then you kind of basically do like a 3-needle bind off on that. And so I thought, oh, now I can kind of try it on. Well, there's an issue. So if I hold it at the shoulder seam, I'm going to just kind of pull it up like this and do it the right way. Can you see the difference from the front to the back? Yeah. This is the back. This is the front. I did the right amount of stitches. This got too long. This panel got too long. So because here's my marker for where my like armpit will be connected. here on the back, and here's my armpit. It doesn't match. So I was thinking I had hung it on my machine, and then like my back was starting to bug me and it was getting hot, and I'm like, okay, I'll come back to it later. Well, I didn't get back to it for a couple of days, so it hung for a while, and I'm wondering if that stretched because it was hanging, and because this front piece is so narrow, it's easier to stretch it, because it's supposed to button like here and it buttons way loose, and I'm like, that's not going to fit. That's not going to look right. So I think what I'm going to do before I like rip it out, because I'm ready to rip it out and just go, screw that, I'll just make a pullover and not mess with all this stuff. I can make a pullover in a weekend. So before I do that, I thought I might block what I have and see if that pulls this front piece up a little, because it needs to come up like a couple of inches, and hoping that it just happened to stretch. If it doesn't work, then this sucker's getting pulled out, and I'm just going to make a stinking cardigan with it. I love how the colors worked out. So that's it's backside. Royalty and Mystical. I love how that looks. I did want a cardigan, but I'm kind of thinking that maybe making cardigans isn't my thing, because my other cardigan's having an issue too. So I'll, stay tuned and see what happens with that. I haven't been able to do it because I needed the space where I like to block up on the table that's been taken up with stuff. So I tell you, I want it to work and I want it to fit. And right now, fit-wise, around feels like that's going to be great. It's just this whole length thing. So not so good. So let's see what happens with that. Let me put that over there. I have also mentioned that Jake from Dogstar Knits and Ray. Sorry, Ray. Jake and Ray of Dogstar Knits, but Jake is the dyer, so that's why I only said Jake's name. But Ray, you are so important to it. They and Mary Beth and Helen from the Crafty Toads, Toad Hollow is their yarn company, bag company. They're doing like a book club thing, and it was with the Night Circus, which I did read and I really enjoyed, and I'm on the waiting list for the audio version of it because I hear that that's pretty cool. Go over and watch the Dogstar Makecast where they talked about the book. They talked about the first 4 chapters. Ray has read it, but Jake hasn't, and so getting his take on it was really interesting. I really enjoyed hearing their discussion about it. So Jake, who dyes yarn, his yarn company is Dogstar Knits, and the Toad Hollow gals have come up with colorways based on the book. Now Jake made his yarn before he started reading the book or anything, but I just loved it when it went in the shop. Mary Beth and Helen's you can't get it, and theirs was a skein and a bunch of minis, and I just didn't have the funds, and I didn't have a project for that, but I figured a skein of yarn I can get. So I did get Jake's yarn, and this is Le Cirque des Rêves, which is the name of the circus. The circus is very monochromatic. It's black and white with a little bit of red, and there you go. And his labels. Now, this is my first skein of Jake's yarn. I adore Jake and Ray, by the way. His label's got like a sheen to it. It's pretty cool. So this is 100 grams, 400 yards, an 80-20 blend, and 100% magic. So I am going to make a cowl, because a cowl I will wear all the time. I will wear this because if it's on my feet, nobody gets to see it but me, really. So I'm going to play around and like design my own cowl. Nothing fancy, just trying out some different stitches and just kind of play with it. So I'm going to finish that other cowl that I just showed you before I start this. So this will be kind of down the line, but I think it's going to be really pretty with that little punch of red. because I don't wear red very often, but I can do like a punch of it. And it's more, it's a good red. So I'm not sure. I didn't look this morning to see if you can still get this. I know you can't get the Toad Hollow yarn anymore, but you may be able to get Jake's yarn. Not really sure. We'll see. Oh, and I wanted to do, I'm going to do a little giveaway thing. It is for a pair of ChowGoo 9-inch circulars. So if you're into 9-inch circulars, it's a size 3. I, Very Pink Knits quite a while ago had a pattern to how to do socks with 9-inch circs, and she used a sport weight yarn, and so you needed the size 3. And so I got the needle, I got the yarn, and I don't like knitting with 9-inch circulars. I just don't. And so I have this pair. So I'm going to give it away. I'll have a thread in the Ravelry group that's for the Creative Obsession. And when I record next time, I'll just pick somebody. I don't know. I'll have a prompt. I don't know what the prompt's going to be right now, but I'll think of something. So if you'd like to get 9-inch circulars in a size 3 ChowGoo needles, enter. And I'll send that away to you. I don't have any sport weight yarn to give you. So you have to get your own. Unless you like to knit on size 3s for your socks. I don't know. So if you want it, it's yours. All right, so my back has been feeling better, which I think I mentioned. I don't remember if it was when I first started, but my back's feeling better. I'm finally on track with keeping it where it needs to be and not having it go out all the time. So I did a bunch of dyeing, which felt good. You know, I was feeling pretty sorry for myself with my back hurting. So this is going to be, now if I can grab it without everything falling over. Let's scooch that over. So I've been doing a bunch of dyeing, and it felt good. I did pretty good. I had to take it slow at first, and I was pretty sore, and I would do a little bit, then I'd sit with ice on my back and do a little bit, but it got better as time went on. And like I said, with the help of the chiropractor, it's all going back, and it's being good. So I'm going to share some of the new colors with you. They all went into the shop today. So this is a new one. It's called Surfs Up. It is a like tealy kind of color, tealy kind of blue, and it's got pops of like pink and yellow, which also turns into green when it hits the blue. That is Surfs Up. That actually goes, let me see if I can find the other one. Hang on a second. Hot Lips is a new mini color, and I think that goes really well. So that's Hot Lips and Surfs Up. Another new one. I've only got a couple of skeins of this because I think a specific person is going to want that, but that is State Fair. So you've got some really fun crisp orange color, a little bit of periwinkle, and some reds. That really looks good with Hot Lips as a mini. If you want to go mellower, you can do Tutu as a mini. And I've got Blue Pearl. That looks good. See, that's what I would do. But that's just me. And if you want to be wow bow, I've got Electrified, which is a neon green. So all those minis are in the shop. So this is State Fair. I'm not sure about that. Okay. So my Alexa decided to talk to me. I didn't say anything to you. This is a one-of-a-kind color. I don't know that I can duplicate it. So right now it is a one-of-a-kind. But it's really pretty. It's got blues and reds and all these multiple colors that blended together and made new colors when it was in the dye pot. So there's a couple skeins of that. That looks good. This is Palomino, which is that beautiful dark honey color with some natural color, and there's little hints of pink in it. And I call this Palomino because it reminded me of my horse that I had, Maggie, who was she was a Palomino. She was like these colors and her little pink nose. So, there you go. That's really pretty. Look at this. This is denim. That's the color I'm making that sweater out of. Gosh, that's so pretty. If you put a denim mini even with this, if a pair of socks, super pretty. I do have electrified on a full skein if anybody's needing some like out there kind of color. This is another favorite. This is another new one called Dust in the Wind. So you've got some like bluish speckling and some mauve and some of that kind of honey color. Very like subtle and soft and pretty. You put that. You do that with, I showed a picture of it on Instagram with mauve, my Mauvelous, and my Old Soul, which was that really deep gold color. It's gorgeous. And then this is another new one, Nutmeg, which is kind of a medium brown color with some darker brown speckling and stuff. And I have this in minis as well. So I also restocked some of the like denim, put more denim in the shop and that kind of thing. They're not new colors, but they're I just like added to the stock. So hop on over to Etsy, The Creative Obsession on Etsy, and check it out if you're interested. But for now, that is all I have going on. Book-wise, I am reading the book Cinder, and I don't remember the author's name. Let me look on my notes because I may have said it last time. Nope, probably not. Nope. Anyway, I'll put the information down below. And I'm really enjoying the book. It's good. I'm really enjoying it. So thank you, Chevis, for recommending it. And in a couple weeks, we will be going on vacation. So I'm hoping that I can get another episode recorded then. And I'll go over, hopefully have some things finished and like what I'm going to take knitting wise and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that you're able to stay out of the heat if it's hot where you are, which is pretty much everywhere. Unless you're, in Australia or New Zealand, then it's winter. That sounds lovely. So anyway, I hope everything is well, and thank you for coming by, like I said, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.